Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome here to the Launchpad, or maybe it's good evening or good morning, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome here to our live launch coverage of Rocket Lab's Electron 23rd mission, launching out of New Zealand here. We're expecting Rocket Lab to begin their live commentary here in about 10 minutes, so we'll get an update on the rocket. For those of you that have been hanging out in the chat for a bit, it's great to see so many regulars here. If it's your first time here, though, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at the Launchpad. Here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe space is better together, so we invite you to be active in the chat. To start off, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to welcome you here. And if it's your first time, we invite you to engage that subscribe button and consider joining us over on our Discord as well. One other thing we want to mention, obviously, it is launch day, which means over on our shop, if you use promo code launch day, you do get 10% off everything. You can pick up your Crew Dragon, your holiday merch, your Starbase Ugly sweaters, your Jane Webb merch, and lots of things like that. And today, I believe, I double checked, is the last day that you can order in time to get for the holiday season in North America and in Europe. So definitely check that out. But we are here for a Rocket Lab launch, and we're excited to have all of you here with us. Today's mission is for Rocket Lab's launching of their Electron with the customer of Spaceflight Inc. for BlackSky. So this is the kind of sister launch for what we saw just a couple of weeks ago. They're launching out of Rocket Lab's Launch Complex 1A at the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand with a payload of just 120 kilograms or 260 pounds. So much smaller rocket, but that's what Electron's for, and hopefully in the near future we'll see that Neutron rocket that they announced last week with some updated graphics start testing in the near future. Today's satellites are going into a circular low Earth orbit at just about 430 kilometers, so just a little bit higher than the International Space Station, launching at an inclination of 42 degrees. To give you an idea where you can be if you are there in person and where you'll be able to actually see the launch from, we have a map here from Rocket Lab. So the launch complex is that red dot at the very bottom of the Mahia Peninsula, but if you head on up, there is a viewing area. It's about 27 kilometers away, so it is a further viewing area than we have seen things like Kennedy Space Center and stuff like that, but they do have that dedicated viewing area. And last Rocket Lab launch, we had a great video sent in, so if you are in the region and are taking photos or videos and would like the chance to have those possibly be featured here on the Launchpad or over on our Twitter, you can send those to us on Twitter or in Discord, and you just may see your photo or video pulled up in a live stream or retweeted in the future. Now, Electron is going through a phase of being somewhat reusable. Today, though, we will see a standard Electron with the black and white stripes on it, no red, as they will not be attempting to recover this Electron, and it will crash into the Pacific Ocean. But we are hoping that in early next year we will see that first helicopter catch attempt. The last Electron that launched, they did do the practice maneuver of locating the booster while under parachute and have the helicopter practice the maneuver, but they did not actually go for the recovery. This is the 6th Rocket Lab launch of 2021, the 23rd in their history, and we are already at the 127th orbital launch of 2021. We know we've got two more, one more later tonight, and then the New Shepard was delayed due to some weather, so that'll be launching now on Saturday, but we're going to easily get into the mid-130s, if not up to 140 before the end of the year. Lots of people joining in here. We got Shannon in Seattle, Solar's in New Mexico, Stealth is in St. Augustine, Florida. We got Timothy in the UK, Starships in Maryland doing homework. That's awesome. We got Crankies in New Mexico. We got Ohio. We got Netherlands. We've got Bellefontaine here. We got morning, maybe post midnight, I'll accept that, but I'm still out from yesterday. Absolutely, George. We got David's in South Africa, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Illinois. Skimmy's there. We got someone in Kerbal. That's awesome. We got Australia. Great to have you all here today. Today's launching out of New Zealand, and we're glad to have you all here for that live launch coverage. If it's your first time here, we love answering your guys' live comments and questions, so you can send those in the chat. Just take us at the Launchpad, and we'll be able to answer those live as the launch progresses. Now, we do know it'll be about an hour from launch to payload deployment. We don't always get to see that deployment on camera, so we'll wait to see an update from them here today if we will be able to have that live view. But giving you a rough idea of the timeline of what we'll be seeing from today's actual launch. At T-minus 6 hours and counting, they have the road to the launch site closed, which means everyone that needed to be there had to be there. Electron went vertical only T-minus 4 hours, and fueling would begin. They cleared the pad T-minus 2 hours, 30 minutes, and then go through a process. Now down to where we are at now. We're going to be coming in, and they're going to be doing safety checks for the designated aerospace, make sure that area is cleared. Then they'll go into a no-go poll at T-minus 18 minutes, followed by auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. The Rutherford engines will ignite, and we will see liftoff. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, of the first stage will occur 2 minutes 32 seconds into flight, with stage separation immediately following, and that second stage ignition. We'll see fairing about 30 seconds later separate, and then a big moment for the Electron that's different from many other rockets is battery hot swap. Rather than just switching the batteries and holding on to that dead weight, they switch the batteries and they eject the old ones. So that's a moment that we have seen failure point before. It's been a while since we've seen one, so we hope that'll go well just after 6 minutes into flight. Electron officially will reach orbit just under 9 minutes into orbit. That's when the kick stage will separate, and then that kick stage is what will take its payload here today into its deployment orbit, with deployment right at that 1 hour mark. The RocketLab Electron rocket here, giving you a little idea for it. Overall, it's 18 meters tall, 1.2 meters in diameter. It's very small, able to be moved on a dolly just with a couple people. It is a 2-stage rocket with a kick stage, which is what holds the payload here. It's made of a carbon fiber composite there and weighs 13,000 kilograms. But as we get started here, expecting RocketLab to go live any moment. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button if it's your first time here. It does help us out. We're on the road to 15K by the end of the year, and we're super excited to have your guys' support there. We're going to have some giveaways coming up with the countdown to the end of the new year, so you want to make sure you stick around for one of those, because you may just walk away with one of your own models from our studio. So you'll want to stick around for that. We got USA, Philippines, Georgia, UK, Phoenix. Great to have you all here. Sean, Huey here. Love to get over to Mahia and get the drone up and film. That would be amazing, Sean. If that's something you're doing, if you want to reach out to us, that would actually be really sweet. We'd love to maybe partner with you. Obviously, can't do it on, I don't think, a launch day, but connect with us and maybe we can figure something out. We're trying to get a couple people on the ground over in New Zealand with our team there. Missy's in Netherlands, Karen's in Iceland. Great to see you. Are you in Reykjavik or elsewhere in Iceland? I got family from there. SpaceX is coming to Seattle. I highly doubt that, but I'll have to take a look. If you are just joining us, though, welcome here to the launch pad. You're joining us just in time for our live launch coverage of today's RocketLab Electron flight. We're expecting RocketLab to go live here any moment, and we'll patch them in, of course, the moment that they do. Today's launch window, let's double check that here for you. Today's launch window is from 3:45 to 5:50 p.m. Pacific time, or 6:45 to 8:50 p.m. Eastern, or for our UTC friends, we got 23:45 to 1:50 in the morning. So that is the window we have. So they do have a little bit of a time if they do need to have a delay or hold for any reason. See some questions coming in on which way are they launching here today, and I can answer that for you with the view counter on how long you'll be able to actually see the rocket if you are down in New Zealand. It is launching pretty much almost straight to the east-southeast, so a little bit more of a limited viewing time than we've seen on some of the polar launches, but it is still visible about 4 minutes or so into flight. So you could see fairing separation and stage separation for sure. Battery hot swap, you might just be on the edge of, but definitely some viewing opportunities for those in northern New Zealand. Track path, maybe we'll get a photo for you. That would be awesome, George. We always love seeing those streak photos or tracking photos or videos. Definitely, that'd be great to see. I like that shuttle Hubble model. What is that? So that is from Lego. That is their official new shuttle with the Hubble. You can check that out on the Lego shop. We're going to be launching our brand new website in 2022 with the brand new year. And on there, we're going to have everything in the studio listed, as well as ways that you can get it, but also help support what we are doing. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Vaughn, what? TLP has a mod. Zach's getting high tech. We got a few of them. They're just all very busy people. So they are here. Richie, good to see you. Thanks for jumping in there. I'm sure Marcus will be in here in a little bit as well. But absolutely, the team's slowly growing as you guys are absolutely blowing us away, breaking every goal that we had every month. We set new goals, and you guys keep blowing them away. So we appreciate your guys' support as we count down towards today's launch. If you haven't yet, also, we'd like to point you out just that we did have another exclusive interview drop this afternoon. I sat down with Jake Hathaway, one of the new NASA astronaut candidates that was just announced. We've got another exciting interview coming your way tomorrow. So we're excited to have sat down with 3 of them right after the announcement to get their feelings on what it's like now that the public's knowing and kind of some of their hopes and dreams. They range 8 to 10 minutes, so I hope you'll take a moment, check those out, and share them if you can. We will have a countdown timer once RocketLab actually starts their feed here, which is what we are waiting on, because then we'll have an actual accurate time. Right now, we just have a window of time, and that is what we are currently waiting on. We saw that they are at T-minus 60 minutes, 31 minutes ago, so we're waiting for them. We are less than 30 minutes away from that scheduled liftoff period, but I think someone in RocketLab, if anyone's got a contact there, they forgot to hit the go live button. I bet they're in their studio talking and they forgot to hit go live. I've done it, it happens, but something that they may be missing there. Yeah, Marcus, absolutely know you got your finals there, so no worries at all. Lots of New Zealand tuning in. Great to have you all here. Super excited to hopefully get down there in the maybe next year or two. Get to see some Electron and some RocketLab. As it's an absolutely beautiful launch site. I would say it's one of the top 3 most beautiful launch sites in the world there. We got Kelowna, Canada, Edmonton. Great to see another Edmontonian in here. Awesome, you're in Reykjavik. That's great to see, Karen. Haven't been yet, but definitely want to be. Julian's asking, are there cameras on the rocket? So they do have a few. Depending on the payload is what affects what they're allowed to actually be able to show. So we'll be keeping an eye on what they are actually able to show based on the customer's payload requests and just what the customer wants. But at this time, we will at least be able to see liftoff stage separation because that doesn't point towards the payload. But we may or may not see the actual payload deployment itself. As RocketLab gets spooled up here, just a quick reminder, we do have a Falcon 9 launch happening later tonight, so we hope you'll join us for that. The New Shepard launch tomorrow morning was delayed due to weather, so I hope you'll join us on Saturday morning for the liftoff of the first ever 6-crew New Shepard flight that will be occurring there. So lots of things happening. If it's your first time here and you have a question, you can send that in the chat. We'll be able to answer those live as we go along. Once RocketLab goes live, we're going to listen into the raw updates so you can hear what's going on, and we'll keep answering questions in the chat. And then during the coast phase, we'll come back and continue to answer those as we await payload deployment. If it's also your first time, take a moment, hit that like, subscribe button. It really does help us out. We want to see, can we hit 12.5K before the launch here? Definitely think that's something we can do. And we're on that road to 15K. Hurry up, RocketLab. Show the rocket. I know. They started the live feed, but they aren't showing anything. It's now just the animated version of their logo here. But you know what? We'll patch it over so you guys can see it. That is what we are seeing right now from RocketLab. Awaiting hopefully an update from them here of an actual countdown sequence with more than a few minutes before liftoff. At this point, we should be about T-minus 25 minutes and counting until that expected liftoff time. Watching from your hay barn in rural Oklahoma. Well, thanks for being here. We love seeing where you guys are watching from. So if you do ever want to show that, you can tweet it to us over on Twitter or drop it in the Discord. We love seeing how you guys take part. We know we've had people on phones, we've had people on projectors with their whole families. It's really cool. We've had people at school, we've had military bases, we've had cargo ships. We had someone on their way to Everest Base Camp once. That was watching. So we love that we believe space is better together. That's part of our mission statement. We're glad to have all of you here this afternoon or this evening. The payload today, 2 more BlackSky satellites that will be launching up. Today's mission name is Data with Destiny, launching from Launch Complex 1A. The BlackSky Satellites is a Seattle-based leading provider of real-time geospatial intelligence that uses Gen 2 smallsats to detect objects of interest. These smallsats are designed and produced in partnership with Stella. The constellation of BlackSky gathers observations from space, air, and terrestrial sensors and can image a location multiple times a day. Once in orbit, these next-gen 2 satellites will capture images of Earth with a sub-meter resolution. The company uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to then take that data and use it in the most efficient way. It's really interesting to see that. Based on the previous mission of BlackSky satellites, we know that 2 of them weigh 60 kilograms and will be joining that constellation. Now, BlackSky has launched not only with RocketLab, we've actually seen them launch, I believe, on a SpaceX before, as well as I believe there was one other mission we saw. I'm blanking on the rocket they launched on. So they look for providers and opportunities to get their sats into orbit, and we'll see how that goes. What are your thoughts on Neutron? I think it's a really neat idea. I wish them well with it. I think there's going to be a lot of testing to occur to make sure that they are successful, but I think they eliminated some of the weak points that they very directly pointed out were points of failure that could occur or points that they could save funds. So we'll see what happens. Paul, thanks so much for being here. Shout out to you and the team there. We appreciate your guys' hard work. We're going to be launching a new series in the new year called Behind the Console, where we want to talk to real-life workers. Obviously, we know there's a lot that you can't talk about with your job, but if you'd want to consider doing an interview, reach out and we'd love to connect with you. Or if you guys know anyone that works for any rocket company, aerospace company, we want to be able to shine a light on the people actually doing the hard work that are making these rockets possible. It takes a large crew to do it. And we want to, do quick 5, 10, 15-minute interviews, get to know who they are, and just shine a little bit of light on them. Yeah, we had the delivery room too. That's very true, Richie. I don't know how I forgot that one. Richie, a couple weeks ago, was in the delivery room with his wife, and the baby wouldn't come, so they just kept watching us. And then suddenly the baby was here, and they're still watching us. So we love having you here, Richie. Hey, Silver, how's it going? Thanks for watching. Is RocketLab going to try to catch this one from Kevin? I see a few others asking that. No. So today they are not attempting to recover. Last time we saw them to put the helicopter out into position, and then they attempted to do the catch maneuver without actually doing the catch. And then they didn't actually do the catch. They just wanted to practice locating the booster in the air under the parachute, get the helicopter there, and then let it go down to the ship. They're not going to attempt to recover this one, so we're going to see that classic black booster with just the white-silver stripes, not the red. Red means recoverable at RocketLab. So it's been a little while since we've seen one of these, but we do know that early next year they are expecting to do that first booster recovery attempt, and of course you'll be able to follow along with that live. Now we are coming down to about T-minus 22 minutes and counting, and you are seeing what I'm seeing. RocketLab is still not live. We're waiting to have, hopefully, some live views of what's going on before they have a liftoff here. They did just retweet the webcast, so hopefully we'll have them go here shortly. RocketLab's a great company. I think they've got a really awesome idea. They got a great team, and wow, they look really modern. Hey, Pierre, how's it going? George, watching from Liverpool, England. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. If it's your first time got here, I invite you to hit that like, subscribe button. It really helps us out. And share out the broadcast. Let people know that we are coming down to T-minus 20 minutes and counting until liftoff here this evening or this afternoon, depending where you're joining us from. A quick adjustment here. Hey, Heather, good to see you. Anita, good to see you as well. Kind of Aerospace, lots of regulars in the chat. Great to see you all here. If you guys have questions, keep sending those in the chat. We'll be able to answer them as they go along the way. Also taking a look over on the Discord. If you guys want to hop on over there, you can join us for the live comms conversations. We got a few people in there. You can join with the link that'll be in the chat in just a moment. It's totally free to join, but if you do become a YouTube member or Patreon member, you can get access to behind the scenes of video editing, filming, scripting, and all of that, and that starts at just $1.99. That helps us be able to budget for when things like Elon tweeting today that there's going to be a Starbase update in the next 30 to 45 days, by the end of next month for sure, but hopefully by the end of this month. We need to be able to have those budgets in place that we can plan to make sure to get down there to bring you guys that full uninterrupted coverage, and we appreciate that from you guys. You can also check out the shop. It is launch day, which means use promo code launch day, and you can save 10% off your TLP gear, and still time to get those in time for the holiday season. Smash that like button for a chance to win a SpaceX launch into your backyard on a projector screen. But great to have you all here. Ian on the pad, link to the Discord should be in the chat there. We'll do it one more time. It's also in the description, I believe, as well. We are counting down now less than 20 minutes until scheduled liftoff of RocketLab. We should be about T-minus 19 minutes. And we still have no live views from RocketLab at this time, which is very different from what we've seen before. So maybe they're working an issue. That's one of the things. We can be here to answer your questions, but if we don't have a view, we don't have a view, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll see them begin that live coverage here momentarily. Carson, no and no. Mark, are they launching to lower Earth orbit? Yes, they are launching to a lower Earth orbit to about 440 kilometers is where they'll be deploying. There we go. Now they're getting started here. So the moment that they have their live commentator on, we will patch them in, and you'll be able to listen in as we get started. Hit that like button, and we'll be glad to answer those questions as the count progresses, passing T-minus 19 minutes and counting until liftoff of 2 more BlackSky satellites. But stay with us here on our live launch coverage of Electron 23, launching from Launch Complex 1A in the Mahia Peninsula. We're wishing RocketLab a good flight here today, as they've had a pretty good record for this year. We want to see them end the year off well. This is most likely the last RocketLab launch we will see of 2021, but you never know. They might try to squeeze one more out. But here we go, a data with Destiny. Let's listen in to RocketLab Mission Control.
RocketLab Mission Control in Auckland, New Zealand. Today is Thursday, December 9th, and the countdown to launch is on for RocketLab's 23rd Electron mission from RocketLab Launch Complex 1 in Mahia, New Zealand. The name for this mission is A Data with Destiny, in a nod to our dedicated customer on this launch, real-time global monitoring and data provider BlackSky, through mission integration partner Spaceflight. My name's Muriel Baker, and thank you for joining us for our final launch for 2021. On your screen is a live view of our Electron launch vehicle ready on the pad as we wait for the call to proceed with launch from our launch director in Mission Control. We're counting down to liftoff right as today's launch window opens at 1:02 p.m. local time. If you're joining us from the United States, though, launch is scheduled for 7:02 p.m. Eastern or 4:02 p.m. Pacific. Our launch window today is just a touch over 2 hours, and we've got backup opportunities throughout this weekend next if we need to stand down from launch for any reason today. But today is looking like a good day to launch with no red flags halting any of our launch procedures and clear skies over the Mahia Peninsula where our launch site is located, along with a clear shot to space and low Earth orbit for our customer satellites on board.
Coming through T-minus 16 minutes and 30 seconds and counting. Fueling is complete, which is a really great sign. You can see those beautiful live views of that peninsula. Closest you can get if you're there in person, about 27 kilometers away on the other side of the bay.
LD,
But
GC
still a
on
great launch site.
Go ahead, GC.
umbilical arm and prime sequence complete.
Roger, thank you, sir.
Today's mission is carrying a pair of twin Earth observation satellites for BlackSky and is our second dedicated Electron mission for the company in just a matter of days. With Spaceflight Inc. as their mission integration partner, BlackSky are rapidly expanding their satellite constellation as they scale up their service to provide high-resolution photos of Earth combined with artificial intelligence to deliver real-time analytics and insights to government customers and various commercial industries. Our most recent launch on November 18 delivered 2 of BlackSky's Gen 2 satellites to low Earth orbit, with another pair on board Electron today, taking off on an eastern trajectory from Launch Complex 1, heading to the same 430-kilometre circular orbit to join the constellation. It's been 3 weeks since that last launch on November 18, and a successful launch today would equal our quickest launch turnaround of just 21 days, previously achieved between flights 12 and 13. Now, those of you who joined us for that Love at First Insight mission will know that not only did we successfully deploy BlackSky satellites, we also brought our Electron booster back to Earth in another test of launching and capturing our Electron rocket for reusability. Love at First Insight was our third proof of concept mission to control Electron's return from space and recover it from the ocean after landing it there underneath a parachute. But more excitingly, the mission was the first time introducing helicopter operations to a recovery launch. We stationed it at sea 200 nautical miles offshore to observe and track Electron's first stage as it descended to Earth, and we've got some footage from that mission to show you. So with a successful liftoff and after clearing max Q, Electron completed a flawless separation of its first and second stage, as you saw there. And once that happened, Electron's booster re-entry was controlled by a cold gas reaction system that tilted it in such a way to better slice through Earth's atmosphere on the way back down. Our helicopter crew successfully tracked the returning rocket and completed communications tests in the recovery zone, bringing RocketLab a step closer to catching a rocket in the sky, bringing it back to the production complex for a glow-up, and then launching it to space again. And with the success of the mission and those recovery operations, we've proven small launch vehicles can be reusable. And as one of only 2 launch companies repeatedly recovering orbital class boosters from space, we're now moving to the final step in our plan to launch, catch and repeat by using a helicopter to capture Electron's booster by its parachute to keep it dry and bring it back to our factory. So with some final modifications to Electron you can see there, and our recovery operations on track, we're looking forward to that very first helicopter capture taking place during a mission scheduled to launch in the first half of next year. We are coming up though to the go, no-go poll to determine whether to proceed with the final minutes in the countdown today, which will be run by our launch director Joseph Carpico from RocketLab Range Control in Mahia. Each of our operators will now check in from their stations to confirm their systems are operating as they should. Let's listen into the roll call.
You can see that live view into mission control. Super sleek and modern. We're waiting for that roll call to occur. If it's your first time here, welcome. Hit that like, subscribe button. If you have a question, send that in the chat. Just take us at the launch pad. We'll continue answering those through the coast phase as we count down the last 12 minutes until
This is the
liftoff.
LD on mission, proceeding with the go, no-go sequence. Stage.
Stages go.
Avionics.
Avionics is go.
GNC.
GNC's go.
Beacon.
Recon is go.
T1,
T1 is go.
GC,
GC is go.
PLS,
PLS is go.
RSO,
RSO is go.
MET,
Met is go.
MM,
MM is go.
LD sub.
LD subs go.
That concludes the go, no go sequence. We are now T minus 11 minutes, 22 seconds and counting. We are go for terminal count at T minus 10 minutes. From this time, the 3-word hold procedure is in effect.
And with that, we'll be proceeding with the rest of today's countdown and moving forward to liftoff. Electron is our workhorse launch vehicle dedicated for small satellites, and if you've been following along with Rocket Lab's announcements, you'll know that we're building on Electron's experience as the second most frequently launched US rocket annually to develop another launch vehicle, Neutron. Just last week, for the first time, we revealed some exciting key details about our new rocket, including Neutron's unique design, materials, propulsion, and how we'll make it reusable.
So they're going to do a recap of their Neutron announcement here with Peter Beck. That's their director. Really amazing looking rocket. This is their rocket that will be attempting to compete with the Falcon 9, though it will still be smaller. It'll be fatter. It has some amazing capabilities based on their current plans. They say the first tanks are already in development and will begin testing next year. So we hope to see Neutron out in the pad maybe 2023, 2024 for testing, as they want it operational by 2024. Really some interesting concepts and designs there, working with new materials, new fairing capture techniques, and new landing legs. Coming down to T-minus 9 minutes, 45 seconds and counting until liftoff. We're glad to be here with you all for the live launch of RocketLab 23, carrying 2 BlackSky satellites up into a low Earth orbit of 430 kilometers, just a little bit higher than the International Space Station. Today's payload, each one weighs 60 kilograms. So we're looking at 120 kilograms payload, or 260 pounds, launching into an inclination of 42 degrees.
There are a few more details about Neutron that we're keeping up our sleeves for now, including where Neutron and its Archimedes engines will be built and launched from. But if our new rocket excites you and you're interested in joining the team to design, build, and test it, we have several jobs in the Neutron program open now. To find out about these roles and to watch the full Neutron reveal video, head to our website for more.
S-band is switched to high power for flight.
Stage LD on mission.
LD stage.
Yes, sir. Please proceed with sequence 56 stage terminal checks.
Commencing stage terminal checks.
So they're going through their terminal count sequence. At any time, if we hear now, hold, 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 those are the words we have to hear if any of them want to stop the launch.
High voltage batteries ready for flight.
There we can hear the batteries are ready for flight.
GC LD on mission.
LD, GC.
Yes, sir. Proceed with sequence 57 pad ready for launch.
Roger, sequence 57 in work.
The pad is now ready for launch, coming down T-minus 7 minutes, 45 seconds.
With the liftoff coming up in a few minutes' time, let's take a closer look at Electron on the pad. Electron is a 2-stage launch vehicle that stands 18 meters tall. Its black and white stripes are a visual effect caused by the rocket's liquid oxygen propellant, where ice forms on the outside because of the cold temperature of the liquid oxygen in the rocket's fuel storage tanks inside. The black comes from Electron's carbon composite structure, a material that is lightweight yet strong enough to withstand the pressure of launch. And powering the rocket are 9 Rutherford engines on the first stage and a single Rutherford engine on the second stage. These engines are 3D printed and named after the famous physicist Ernest Rutherford. We have an 11th engine on Electron also, called the Curie engine, after chemist and physicist Marie Curie. This propulsion system is housed within Electron's third stage, or kick stage, which we use as a orbital transfer vehicle to deploy the mission's payloads to their exact destination in space. The kick stage is carrying today's 2 BlackSky satellites to a 430-kilometre circular orbit after Electron lifts off the pad at Launch Complex 1 today. Now, while we're mostly known for being the transportation to space for satellites and spacecraft, these days we also take care of the on-orbit end of the space business too. Here's more about how we're building out our Space Systems division to become a one-stop shop for satellite missions.
And in typical Rocket Lab fashion, they're going to show a video, even though we're coming down to T-minus 6 minutes and counting on what we can expect here. A couple questions in the chat. What are they using Neutron for the material? It's a bit different. They're going to be using a custom carbon composite that they actually can 3D print. So that is what they're doing. Here's an animation. Ooh, even more of an animation than we saw previously of a launch sequence. The unique payload arms and payload deployment technique as well. Lots of different things Rocket Lab is working on as they go from a small sat launcher to a medium payload launcher, going not only to low Earth orbit, but to Mars, to they want Mars, they want the moon, and a few other places. So they are becoming very quickly a competitor in the space industry, and we wish them well. Coming down T-minus 5 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. If you're just joining us, you're just in time for the launch of Electron 23, carrying 2 BlackSky satellites into a low Earth orbit. Take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Over 1,000 people watching. Can we get to 500 likes? I think so. And hit that subscribe button so you never miss another live launch coverage, exclusive interview, or space news as it happens. We're glad to have you all here tuning in from absolutely all over the world. If you are down in the Mahia Peninsula and see Rocket Lab's launch and get it on photo or video, send it to us over on Twitter at @TLPN_official, or the link in the chat, or you can send it to us over on Discord as well, and you just may get featured during the coast phase right here on the launch pad. You can take a moment also and share it out, let people know, coming down to that final T-minus 4 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Yes, it's a BlackSky launch. 2 BlackSky satellites on board, each weigh about 60 kilograms. So it is a lighter payload deployment here. How far out is Rocket Lab from the first test of the new rocket? They say they're printing the first tanks right now. So I would say we're probably looking end of next year or early 2023 for testing, but they want it operational for 2024. So that's what we'll be waiting to see how that progresses, depending on how the tanks perform. And then, of course, depending on how re-entry performs as well. I am up in Edmonton, Canada, but we do have some of our team stationed around the world even. We've got UK, we've got Florida, we've got Washington, and one other one that I'm blanking on. Sorry, Brant. Let's listen into the final count here, coming down to T-minus 3 minutes, 15 seconds, and counting.
We're coming up to just over 3 minutes now away from launch. Electron remains in good health, as well as the BlackSky satellites inside the fairing. The weather remains green, and the path to orbit looks clear from Launch Complex 1 at T0. Soon we'll hear the call that LOX loading is complete on Electron, telling us that the rocket is fully fueled for launch. Electron's internal flight computers by then will have taken over the countdown to run the vehicle autonomously, with our launch director counting down the clock at T-minus 10 seconds. We're going to hand over now to Mission Control for the countdown to launch.
Yes, sir. Please confirm your go for launch.
LD Shadows go.
Coming down to T-minus 2 minutes and counting. As always here on the launch pad, we want to see a go, no go in that chat should they launch it. There you can see those ground vents turning
Vehicles
on,
internal
preparing.
power.
Launch auto sequence has started. Appreciate it, Big Teddy. That's great to have you here.
LOX load is complete. System is in recirculation.
T-minus 90 seconds.
Anti-geysering is disabled.
They do have some really good pad mics, so if you're wearing headphones, just fair warning, might get a little loud for a few seconds during the launch sequence. T-minus 55 seconds and counting. They are go for
Tanks
launch.
are pressed for flight.
The tanks are fully pressurized.
High flow engine purge enabled. Deluge activated.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10,
10,
9,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
ignition. Electrons clearing the pad very quickly, already going 400 kilometers an hour, 2 kilometers into altitude.
And away we go. Our 23rd Electron launch vehicle is off the pad and on the way to space for this mission and progressing well on its journey to low Earth orbit. We've got a great daytime view from the rocket's onboard cameras as it approaches the point in its journey when it experiences the most amount of stress, otherwise called maximum aerodynamic pressure, or max Q.
Passing through 1 minute of flight, already
Cheers,
going
max Q.
1,800 kilometers an hour, 13 kilometers in altitude. There's max Q.
There's the call out from Mission Control. Electron has successfully passed through max Q and is continuing eastward off the coast of New Zealand. The first stage's Rutherford engines are firing red hot and nominal as we come up to a vital sequence of events in the vehicle's launch procedure. Electron will slow down just a touch before shutting off its main engines, what's called main engine cutoff, or MECO. This allows for the clean separation of the first stage from the second stage before the second stage's engine lights up and propels the vehicle's satellites onto orbit. We should both see those actions on screen and hear the call-outs from our operators in Mission Control soon.
Coming up to 2
Stage
minutes
one
into
propulsion is
flight.
holding nominal. Standby for MECO in approximately 30 seconds.
5,500 kilometers an hour, passing 45 kilometers in altitude. About 20 seconds left in the first stage. You can see New Zealand off to the north part of New Zealand, off to the back there. Passing through 7,000 kilometers an hour. Be coming up on engine burnout here. And prepare for stage separation. Passing 8,500 kilometers an hour, 75 kilometers in altitude. There's stage separation.
Successful.
And second stage ignition.
And there we go, that's confirmation of successful MECO, stage separation and second stage engine start. You can see the space optimized Rutherford engine glowing hot on your screen as it carries on in space. Now, since we've cleared the lower atmosphere, we no longer need the rocket's fairing to protect the satellites, and we need the fairing out of the way to be able to safely deploy the satellites. So soon that fairing will fall away as we get rid of the dead weight. Let's keep an eye out for that.
There's that fairing off to
And there
the
they
distance.
go, Electron's fairing halves have been deployed. We've got a short time gap now between this event and the next one coming up for Electron's second stage, which involves swapping out the batteries that power the second stage Rutherford engine. The mission is continuing nominally though as we approach that next milestone, with the second stage travelling at a speed of nearly 10,000 kilometres an hour at an altitude of over 130 kilometres.
Passing through 10,000 kilometers an hour, coming up on 145 kilometers in altitude. Electron, she is fast, but keep in mind, it's a small payload, only 120 kilograms going up. Just a reminder, put it on all of your radar, there is a Falcon 9 launch happening later
If you're
tonight.
just joining us,
So we hope you will join us for that. That launch is already pre-scheduled, so make sure you've subscribed or go on over and click the reminder button. But we're going to keep listening into mission control here as Electron comes up to that battery jettison in just a couple of minutes. It's a very important part of their sequence as they swap the whole system over to these new batteries.
that's on board is headed to a circular low Earth orbit 430 kilometres above Earth, where they'll join the rest of BlackSky's constellation of Earth-observing smallsats, 2 of which we deployed on our last mission just 21 days ago.
Coming up on T plus 5 minutes into flight, passing 12,000 kilometers an hour, 175 kilometers in altitude.
Stage 2 propulsion holding nominal.
We're coming up to a milestone unique to Electron soon, the swap out of the batteries that our Rutherford engines draw their energy from to continue, as our engineers say, chooching. The vehicle has run through the set of batteries we started with at liftoff, and so now the second stage of the vehicle needs to swap over to a fresh one to keep things going. We call this move the battery hot swap. You should hear that call come from mission control shortly, but keep an eye on your screen too, as often you can catch a glimpse of them falling away.
Passing 15,000 kilometers an hour, 190 kilometers in altitude. 6 minutes into flight. That battery jettison should hear here momentarily. Take a moment, hit that like, subscribe button. Really does help us out. A data with Destiny. So far going well. There you go. Saw that battery shot away. There it goes off into the distance.
And so there they go, and that was the call for a successful battery hot swap. Coming up in the next couple of minutes will be the second engine cutoff on the second stage, or SECO. This manoeuvre follows pretty much the same procedure as main engine cutoff, where the Rutherford engine on the second stage will shut off ahead of final separation of the vehicle between the second stage and our kick stage. There will be a bit of a gap between that final separation and payload deployment, as this stage separation places the kick stage in an elliptical orbit of Earth first. I'll explain what happens after that point once we receive confirmation from Mission Control first of SECO and stage separation.
So keep monitoring to this, but if you're just joining us, welcome here to our live launch coverage of Electron 23,
You
a
can
data
see the
with
second
Destiny.
stage Rutherford engine burning bright on your screen there, with Electron well on track to deliver the BlackSky payloads to orbit in around 50 minutes or so. The vehicle is travelling at more than 19,000 kilometres an hour with an altitude of nearly 200 kilometres, and everything is continuing as expected with our stage 2 burn.
Voltage battery discharge holding nominal.
A quick reminder for those who are just joining us, while our last launch was a recovery mission furthering our development of a reusable launcher, this mission is not, but we will be attempting our first aerial capture of Electron in 2022, and we can't wait to bring you more information as we get closer to that mission. Meanwhile, Electron's vacuum-optimized Rutherford engine is putting in the work ahead of kick stage separation in about 1.5 minutes.
Entered stage 2 burnout detect mode.
Passing 8
A
minutes
check
of
in on
flight.
the telemetry in the top right of your screen, and you'll see Electron is continuing on its way to orbit, traveling at a speed of nearly 25,000 kilometers an hour and an altitude of over 190. Now, as I mentioned before, coming up next is second engine cutoff, or SECO, which will see the engine on Electron's second stage power down ahead of kick stage separation scheduled a few seconds after.
SECO confirmed.
And there we go, with the dimming of the Rutherford engine on your screen as you saw. That, along with the call from Mission Control, confirms that we have had a successful SECO and second stage separation from the kick stage. Today's satellites are headed to a circular orbit, so while the kick stage is on that elliptical first pass, it ignites its Curie engine to course correct and set it on its correct trajectory for payload deployment. That's set to take place in the next 45 minutes or so. Now, while unfortunately we won't have live video of payload deployment on this mission, I'll be coming back to you on this webcast with an animated simulation of the end of the mission and to listen out to those final few calls from Mission Control. We'll take a bit of a break now and leave you with the tracking data of where the kick stage is over Earth. If you've got a telescope handy and the kick stage is over your part of the world, see if you can spot it in the night sky. I'll see you back here soon.
And just like that, Electron is on its way, and we have that one last burn, and then the payload deployment's coming up about 45-50 minutes from now. So we're going to take some time and answer your guys' live comments and questions. If you're going to head out, thank you guys for being here for our launch. I know that's the most exciting part. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help us out. Consider checking out the TLP shop. Use promo code LAUNCHDAY to get 10% off of everything there. But if you guys have questions, send those in the chat. Take us at the launch pad, and we'll be answering those as we await the Curie burn and then the two deployments of those two BlackSky satellites in about 45 to 50 minutes from now. Drunken Yoda's asking, anything coming back down, anything to see in East Georgia? No, you wouldn't see anything in Eastern Georgia. If it's dark, you may be able to see the Curie engine maybe burning, depending on where it does its final burn, but you may be able to see it passing in orbit. But it is a very, very small satellite, the two of them together on that Curie stage, so probably a little less likely. Starlinks and stuff are a little easier to see. Justin, absolutely, we will be live for that Falcon 9 launch. We'll drop the link in the chat here as well. That is our live link for the coverage of Falcon 9 launching later this evening. Timothy Q, Everyday Astronaut Music. Yeah, probably. That's probably what they're playing. Interesting thing is the payload, private data satellites. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of those lately. For it, PSP Photo, thanks so much. We'll see you later. Traveling around Mach 2 now. Yes, they are. Working their way across the Pacific Ocean. You can see where they will have their ground stations as well. So right now they'll have a little bit of loss of communication, but that's okay. From the tracking map, BlackSky deployment should occur over the Middle East. Take a look at that. I believe that sounds about right from it there, but absolutely. Sounds good, Justin. We'll see you then. If you guys have questions, keep sending those in the chat. We'll be glad to answer those. Falconing, I think I can see it, guys. I'm in the car on a high hill. Interesting, cool. What is takeoff? Takeoff was 12.5 minutes ago. Today they were launching two private satellites for BlackSky. They are satellites for observation to help detect and track, some different things, whichever they want to see. It's not something they necessarily tell us. Those would be, generally speaking, ground station coverage for what they're able to have. So that's why they pick up over Europe. They have them over Australia. Things like that. So generally that is the ground stations. Will it go over the UK? Yes, it will. It'll be over the UK in probably about 30 minutes or so from now. You can see that live white dotted line passing over the northern tip of South America. That'll continue across and up over the United Kingdom. If you guys have questions, keep sending those in the chat. We'll be answering them. If you want to hang out also, you can jump over onto the Discord, hang out in the live comms. We'll be hanging out in there as well. But stay with us right here on the launch pad for our continued live coverage of the deployment of today's 2 BlackSky satellites. Stay with us.
ejected to make way for the deployment of the second and final satellite on this mission. Those 3 events should happen in quick succession, so let's cross over to this animated view of payload deployment to keep track of the process while listening into mission control.
Global 16 separation confirmed.
So you will have heard from Mission Control there. That is the first BlackSky satellite successfully delivered to its new home on low Earth orbit. We'll clear some space between that satellite and the next maneuver, which is the ejection of the upper stage extension. That should be taking place momentarily.
Payload adapters deployed.
There we go, that call out from Mission Control confirms we've had a successful separation of the upper stage extension. That clears the way for the final satellite deployment today, which should be taking place in just a few moments from now.
And BlackSky Global 17 is deployed.
And there we go, we have had confirmation of successful deployment of that second BlackSky satellite. Welcome to your new home in orbit. And congratulations on mission success, BlackSky and Spaceflight. Thank you for your support in this launch and throughout this year. That completes today's 23rd Electron launch, our 6th of the year and our final launch from Launch Complex 1 for 2021. Today's mission caps off a busy year for RocketLab with the successful deployment of spacecraft for government and commercial customers. This year's launches have supported operations in Earth observation, weather monitoring and Internet of Things, and enabled technology demonstrations in maritime surveillance, quantum computing, advanced AI, communications and deployable sensors. The successful deployment of another RocketLab Photon spacecraft earlier this year also represents our growth in space systems as we become an end-to-end space company with missions to the Moon, Mars and Venus all underway here at RocketLab. Next year includes a busy manifest of Electron launches too for new and repeat satellite customers, as well as the development of our next generation launch vehicle, Neutron. So if any of what you've seen or heard today excites you and you want to join us here at RocketLab, go to our website, rocketlabusa.com. We're going to end the broadcast here. Thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you all the best for the holiday season and the end of the year. This is RocketLab Mission Control, signing off.
Muted. That's fun. Let's try that all again. Well, that wraps up Rocket Lab for 2021. Nice little recap there. But Thank you guys for being here. Hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to wrap up here at the Launchpad. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow. We believe space is better together, so always be active in the chat. Consider joining the Discord. Check out our shop. You can still use promo code LAUNCHDAY to get 10% off of everything. But that's going to do it for us now. You can head on over to the link that's in the chat to join us for our Falcon 9 launch coverage, which will be occurring, going live in just over 4 hours. So we hope you will join us for that. But for now, that's going to do it for us here at the Launchpad. This is Zach signing off. We'll see you later tonight.